I used to think silence meant peace. Now I know it can mean war. My name is Elena Morris. I was a wife for 12 years. A mother for 10. A prisoner the whole time. And I didn't even know I'd been locked up until it was far too late to escape. My husband, Grant, never raised his fist to me. Not at first. He was smarter than that. More precise. He carved my worth out of me with words. With gaslight. With control. You're so dramatic. No one else would ever love you. Stop crying. This is why the kids are scared of you. On the outside, I had everything. A 5-bedroom home. 2 beautiful children, Amelia and Luke. A husband who wore suits and paid the mortgage. Family barbecues where he held my hand just long enough for pictures. Inside I lived in terror. He'd come home angry. Slamming doors, mocking me in front of the kids. Your mother forgot to cook again. Maybe she's drinking. I didn't drink. But soon I thought about it. Every insult chipped away at who I'd been. I stopped calling friends. I stopped going out. Even my own parents thought I was becoming cold and erratic. They didn't see what I saw when the front door closed. They didn't hear him whisper threats into my ear after dinner. You're nothing without me. I can make you disappear. It started slow, as all poison does. I found out about her by accident. Her name was Jenna. Blonde. Pretty. Thin. The kind of woman Grant always pointed at in commercials and said, "Now that's what a real wife looks like." One night, he left his work tablet open on the kitchen counter. Notifications kept popping up. I tapped it. I shouldn't have. Photos. Explicit messages. Plans. Lies. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I took screenshots, emailed them to myself, and closed it like nothing happened. I needed to plan carefully. But I underestimated just how far Grant was willing to go. When I told him I wanted a divorce, he didn't flinch. He smiled. Finally, he said. I was wondering when the crazy would finish cooking. The next morning, I was served with papers. Not just for divorce, but for full custody of Amelia and Luke. In the documents, he claimed I was unstable, paranoid, possibly bipolar, that I had endangered the kids. He cited concerns from a family therapist I'd never met. Attached was a signed affidavit from a man named Henry, claiming to be someone I had an affair with. I didn't know him. I'd never seen him before. But the signature was there. The story was built. And just like that, my life became a crime I didn't commit. The courtroom was cold. Grant looked polished. Sad. The perfect victim. Jenna sat behind him, pretending to be his supportive friend, nodding when he told the judge I was a danger to our children. His lawyer presented text messages, doctored emails, even a fake audio clip of me yelling violently, spliced together from phone calls I hadn't known were recorded. My lawyer tried to push back, but everything was stacked. My own family testified against me. My mother said, Elena's always been sensitive. Maybe too sensitive to raise 2 children in this state. I don't know if she believed it. I think she was scared. Or ashamed. Or both. The judge didn't hesitate. Primary custody to Grant. Supervised visits for me. 6 hours a month. The first time I saw them after the ruling, Amelia didn't hug me. She stayed behind the social worker's desk. Said, Daddy told us you didn't want us anymore. Luke looked confused. Just 5 years old. He asked if I was in trouble. I lied. I said, no baby. Mommy's just tired. I wanted to scream the truth. That their father was a monster. That he was turning them into weapons. But I didn't. Because I knew anything I said would be twisted, replayed, used against me. So I sat there coloring pictures while my kids glanced at the clock, waiting to leave. That was my motherhood now. 2 kids I gave life to, taught to walk, held through sickness, being slowly taught to forget me. I hired a private investigator. I needed to prove the affair between Grant and Jenna. Needed to expose the fake witness, Henry. But money was tight. My bank accounts had been frozen. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment above a tire shop. When the investigator finally came back, he confirmed what I feared. Henry was a paid actor. Literally. A struggling theater major who was paid $4,000 in cash to impersonate a former lover. He even had ties to Jenna's cousin. I thought it was my smoking gun. It wasn't. No court wanted to revisit the case. You should have presented this during the trial, they said. I couldn't. I didn't know. That didn't matter. Over the next year, things got worse. Grant moved Jenna into the house. She took over my role entirely. At school meetings, she was introduced as Mom. At family dinners, I was the absent one, the ghost. When I called to speak to Amelia and Luke, she answered. They're busy. Maybe next week. Some days, I went to bed hoping I wouldn't wake up. Others, I woke up hoping they'd choke on the lie they built. But nothing happened. People moved on. And I slowly stopped fighting. One day, I received a letter. It was an application for termination of parental rights. Filed by Grant. Claimed I was disengaged, uninterested, unfit. He wanted Jenna to legally adopt Amelia and Luke. The hearing was scheduled in 30 days. I tried to contest it. I begged the court to give me a chance. Therapy, evaluation, anything. They declined. The judge said, "You've had over a year to demonstrate stability. You've failed to maintain a consistent presence." I wanted to scream, because you took them from me. But the system doesn't hear women like me. It only hears the ones with money, with control. The last time I saw Amelia and Luke, they didn't call me mom. Amelia was 11 now. Taller. Angrier. She said, "Why did you lie about daddy? Why did you try to ruin everything?" Luke said nothing. He just held Jenna's hand and wouldn't look at me. I handed them letters. One each. For when they're older. Maybe they'll read them. Maybe not. They left with her. I stood alone in the parking lot, holding my purse like a dead weight. It was over. People love stories of survival. Of women who rise. Who fight back. Who burn the system down and reclaim what was stolen. This is not one of those stories. This is the story of a woman erased. A woman whose name became a warning, not a memory. Grant got everything. The house. The kids. The narrative. Jenna married him 6 months later. Posted a family portrait on Instagram that went viral. Caption. Blended and blessed. No one knew what it cost to build that lie. No one asked where I went. Because I didn't go anywhere spectacular. I'm still here. In a quiet room. Still writing letters to children who may never read them. Still remembering a life that no longer belongs to me. Still waiting for a justice that isn't coming. Some women don't get rescued. Some women don't escape. Some of us just survive long enough to watch ourselves vanish. And no one even notices. I thought I had hit rock bottom the day I lost custody of my children. I was wrong. Rock bottom came 6 months later, when I woke up on a stained mattress in my one-bedroom apartment, and realized I hadn't spoken out loud in 2 days. I was 34, alone, jobless, and mother to 2 children who didn't remember my voice. I had become invisible. But that morning, something shifted. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was madness. Maybe grief finally solidified into rage. I stood up. And I started to plot. My first step wasn't revenge. It was survival. I got a job at a call center. Minimum wage, night shifts, terrible hours. But I showed up every day. I saved every dime. By year's end, I had enough to move into a slightly better apartment and pay for therapy. Weekly sessions, $95 per hour. Worth every cent. I didn't want to just be angry. I wanted to understand why I let myself be silenced. The answer wasn't weakness. It was love. Warped, manipulated, weaponized, but real, at least for me. And now that love was dead, I had nothing left to lose. I began documenting everything. Every lie. Every instance of manipulation. Every court record. Every message I had from Grant and Jenna. I opened a private blog under a pseudonym, The Other Mother, and wrote anonymously about emotional abuse and family court corruption. I didn't name names. Not yet. But the stories resonated. I got emails from other women. Dozens. Then hundreds. One email stopped me cold. It was from a woman named Karen. She had been married to Henry, the same man Grant had paid to lie under oath and say I had an affair. She said, "He's terrified now. He said it was all fake. If you ever need him to talk, I'll convince him." I responded in all caps, yes. Karen set up a Zoom call. Henry showed up, nervous, unshaved, but honest. He admitted to everything. The guy, Grant, paid me $4,000 to lie. I never met you. I don't know you. I was desperate. I didn't think it would ruin anyone. I asked if he'd say it again. On record. He nodded. 2 weeks later, I had an affidavit signed by Henry, a video testimony, and a paper trail showing money transfers from Grant's private business account. I wasn't just a mother fighting for her children anymore. I was a woman on fire. I knew the courts wouldn't care unless I had public support. So I took the next step. I made the Other Mother blog public. I attached names, receipts, photos, screenshots. I uploaded the video from Henry. I posted it with a single caption. This is what it looks like when a woman loses everything to lies and decides not to stay quiet anymore. The blog went viral in under 48 hours. Media outlets started contacting me. Lawyers, women's rights organizations, domestic abuse survivors, even former friends who had once believed Grant wrote to apologize. The momentum scared me, but I kept going. With support from advocacy groups, I hired a new attorney, a woman named Brielle who specialized in wrongful custody rulings. She was a pit bull in heels. We're not just appealing, she said. We're reopening the whole case. We filed a petition to vacate the custody judgment based on fraud, perjury, and new evidence. It was a long shot, but we had public pressure now, and judges listen when cameras point their way. We also filed a separate civil suit: defamation, emotional damages, and custodial interference. For the first time, Grant was the one being served. He did not smile this time. 1 week before the hearing, something unexpected happened. Jenna emailed me. She asked to meet in private. I agreed. Only because we met at a public cafe with my attorney present. She looked tired. Not glamorous. Not smug. Just worn down. She said, "I didn't know it would go this far. He told me you were unstable. Dangerous." I stared at her. "You helped raise my kids to hate me." Tears welled in her eyes. "He treats me like he treated you. Worse maybe. I want to help." I kept copies of some things. Emails. Phone calls. "I'll testify." My attorney asked, "Why now?" Jenna said, "Because I'm pregnant. And I don't want my baby to grow up afraid." The courtroom felt different this time. I had evidence. I had allies. I had my voice back. Jenna took the stand and told the truth. That Grant fabricated the affair. That Henry was paid off. That he trained the kids to fear me. When my turn came, I didn't cry. I didn't plead. I told the truth. Clearly. Calmly. I made mistakes. I broke down. But I was never unfit. I was never dangerous. I was erased. And I want my name back. The judge listened. 3 weeks later, the ruling came in. The custody order was overturned. But the damage was done. Amelia and Luke were older now. They had lived 3 years believing I had abandoned them, seeing me only as the villain in stories their father told. When the court granted joint custody, they didn't run into my arms. They stayed with Grant. Because truth doesn't erase years of brainwashing overnight. Still, I had legal standing now. Time. Space. A place in their lives again. But the price? Oh, it was high. I had lost birthdays. First dances. Report cards. Scars and stories and silly bedtime jokes. And no court ruling could ever return those. When Grant was formally charged with perjury and falsifying evidence, he lost everything. His job. His license. His social reputation. Even Jenna filed for divorce. He tried to spin it. Blame mental illness. Accuse others. But no one listened. The fire he used to burn me ended up torching his whole world. He sent me an email, one last time. It said, "You win." I didn't respond. Because it wasn't about winning. It was about surviving. It was about walking into hell and coming out with your soul still intact. My children still don't trust me completely. Amelia is distant. She asks questions with eyes full of doubt. Luke is softer. He started calling me mom again, but only in text. It will take time. Maybe years. Maybe forever. But I am here. Not erased. Not silent. I speak at domestic violence shelters now. I write under my real name. I get letters from women who say, "I thought I was the only one." And I tell them the truth. That redemption doesn't mean everyone forgives you. That healing doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. Sometimes redemption just means surviving long enough to be heard. And that's what I am now. Heard. And whole even if broken.
Elena's story is one of monumental pain and even greater resilience. A journey marked by betrayal and humiliation, only to be followed by an unrelenting quest for vindication. When viewed through an unbiased lens, her path reveals a tapestry of human frailty, institutional shortcomings, and the murky nature of justice in personal relationships. In the beginning, Elena was portrayed as a quiet, abused housewife whose world was methodically dismantled by the lies of her ex-husband, Grant, and his conspiracies. The narrative depicted her isolation, the systemic betrayal of a legal system that failed her, and the heartache of a mother separated from her children. These initial chapters evoke raw emotion, a woman entrapped by control, gaslighting, and falsehoods that slowly chipped away at her identity. As the story evolves into Elena's comeback, aptly titled The Fire That I Became, the focus shifts. Now, she emerges not merely as a victim, but as an individual determined to fight back. She rebuilds her shattered life step by painful step, taking up a mundane job to secure financial footing, enrolling in therapy to confront and understand her suffering, and finally, daring to reassemble the threads of her narrative. With meticulous effort, Elena documents the layers of deception that had upended her life, evidence of fraud, perjury, and emotional abuse. In this painstaking process, she finds not only her voice, but also a network of support among others who have shared similar fates. Her public unveiling of the truth through a blog and subsequent legal challenges becomes a turning point, not because it fully redeems her past, but because it disrupts the prevailing narrative established by those in power. When Elena exposes Grant's manipulation and the sham involving a hired actor, the public, the court of popular opinion, reacts with equal measures of astonishment and sympathy. The truth she reveals forces a reckoning. Grant's meticulously constructed lie begins to crumble, and some accountability is finally imposed. Yet, from a neutral perspective, Elena's hard-fought victory is as bittersweet as it is transformative. The legal appeals and public scrutiny lead to tangible results. Custody is reopened and Grant faces his own legal consequences. But the personal cost is immeasurable. Elena regains a measure of her former identity, and her story becomes a beacon for others who have been silenced. But the scars remain etched in the lives of those involved. Her relationship with her children, though legally restored, is fraught with a lingering impact of years spent apart and the deeply embedded doubts of manipulated reality. Trust, once shattered, takes more than legal wins or public vindication to rebuild. Moreover, the story refrains from presenting a neat moral balance. Elena's actions, though justified by the long shadow of oppression and abuse, carry the burden of an endless struggle against a system that rarely provides complete justice. Her journey underscores that while exposure to the truth is a necessary step toward personal recovery, it does not automatically equate to full emotional or relational restoration. The reader is left with the understanding that healing is a process, one that is interwoven with pain, regret, and the reality that some damage remains forever. From an unbiased standpoint, Elena's narrative is neither a glorification of revenge nor a simplistic tale of good triumphing over evil. Instead, it is an exploration of how complex human relationships can lead to the blurring of lines between victim and avenger, strength and fragility. It also serves as a broader commentary on the societal systems that too often fail to protect those most vulnerable. The legal and social vindication Elena achieves does not absolve all her suffering, nor does it entirely nullify the calculated harm done by Grant and those who enabled him. Rather, it brings the multifaceted consequences of betrayal into clear relief. Even as one achieves a form of retribution, the world that emerges is forever altered. In the end, Elena's story is a cautionary one. It reminds us that while individual resilience can force a crack in the walls of systemic injustice, the echoes of abuse linger long after the battle is fought. Redemption may come at a high cost, a cost measured not just in legal victories or public accolades, but in personal relationships, lost time, and enduring emotional scars. There is no tidy conclusion here. Elena's life, like many lives marked by abuse and deceit, remains in a state of ongoing transformation, a testament to the unending struggle to reclaim one's identity amid a world willing to accept convenient lies over uncomfortable truths. And that is the lasting, non-biased truth of it. In the maze of human failure and redemption, every victory is bittersweet, and every truth, no matter how hard won, leaves behind echoes of what was lost.